A protracted standoff between a major oil company and northern Indigenous American tribes intensified today. Stephanie Sy has the story.
A pipeline battle brewing in Minnesota, today with the largest show of resistance yet.
We will! Stop Line 3! We lost! Stop Line 3!
More than 1,000 protesters from across the country called for a halt to construction, rerouting part of Enbridge's Line 3 pipeline. The Canadian-based energy company transports oil produced from the tar sands in Alberta, Canada, to refineries in Superior, Wisconsin. Since 2014, it has sought to replace a section that runs through northern Minnesota. The new 340-mile replacement pipe would nearly double the amount of oil carried while crossing more than 200 bodies of water and 800 acres of wetlands. It would also run between 3 reservations. Resistance has only intensified since construction began in December. Dozens of protesters have been arrested.
Get out of the area immediately or be placed under arrest.
Opponents say the pipeline risks spills in sensitive areas where Native Americans, the Ojibwe tribes, have treaty rights to hunt, fish, and harvest wild rice. Environmental groups also fear tar sands oil, one of the dirtiest forms of fossil fuel, will worsen climate change and threaten water resources. Those concerns are not unwarranted. In 1991, the Prairie River in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, was contaminated with nearly 1.7 million gallons of crude oil that leaked from the Line 3 pipeline, the largest inland oil spill in U.S. history. Now Line 3 is facing legal challenges at the state and federal level. But pressure is mounting for President Biden to intervene, as he did when he canceled the Keystone XL pipeline in January.
There is absolutely no question that President Biden could shut down the pipeline, Line 3.
Celebrities, including actress Jane Fonda, joined that call today.
We're going to keep coming back and making a ruckus.
Enbridge says the replacement pipeline will bring thousands of jobs to the region, meet higher demand for oil, and deliver it more safely. The project is already more than half finished.
For more on today's demonstrations and what's at stake for the Native tribes behind them, we turn to Tara Houska, an attorney and the founder of the advocacy organization Giniw Collective. She is a member of the Couchiching First Nation. Ms. Houska, you are actually joining us, I understand, from the construction site where this pipeline is being built. Talk us through how you believe this pipeline is going to impact Native tribes.
The impacts of this project are very clear. It is a threat to our watersheds, to our wild rice tributaries, to these beautiful places we call home. It proposes to pass through over 200 water bodies, 800 wetlands, and dozens of wild rice watersheds along its path. And obviously folks are here to say that that's not going to happen, and our wild rice matters.
Tell me what happened at the protest today. I know you were expecting hundreds of people. Were there any arrests? Were there confrontations? Do you feel it was successful?
Yeah, there's actually over 2,000 folks that have shown up here in northern Minnesota doing multiple actions at different sites. There has not been any really aggressive police confrontation. I think they're quite actually overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of folks that are here. And perhaps didn't realize the level of support that Native nations have and frontlines groups have across Turtle Island, and the concerns that people all jointly share about our water and our future.
And what are you all calling for? Are you expecting that President Biden is going to cancel this project the way he did with the Keystone XL pipeline back in December?
If there is a want to avoid civil unrest, if there is a want to uphold tribal sovereignty and to be a climate champion, there is no way that this project should be allowed to move forward. Line 3 is the equivalent of the emissions equivalent of 50 coal-fired plants. There are 3 Ojibwe nations suing against its approval. It is a violation of not only Indigenous rights, but of the rights of future generations to have a habitable planet.
So you're talking about both a climate change issue and an indigenous rights issue. But there have been some tribes that have backed this pipeline, and there are some tribal members that are even working for the company, Enbridge, which says this is going to provide thousands of jobs. What do you have to say to them?
I'm born and raised in northern Minnesota. I am well aware of the fact that most of the good paying jobs in places like this are jobs that involve extraction. They're jobs that require us to destroy the natural world around us, whether it's cutting down the forests, extracting minerals from the earth, or building fossil fuel infrastructure projects that we are left to deal with the risks of. There needs to be investment into our economies. There needs to be respect for our economies, our existing economies, like the economy of wild rice. And it's time for something different. You know, the thousands of jobs that were promised, they were supposed to be all these local jobs. 75% is what they said. It's less than 33%. And most of those jobs are not the high-paying union jobs. They're, you know, the contracted security workers and things like that. This is not a big, huge influx of resources into our economies. It's very temporary and it's short-sighted. And we're the ones that have to deal with all the risks when these guys go home and start counting their checks. And by these guys, I mean Enbridge.
Ms. Houska, you are also a tribal attorney. Besides the protests like you're seeing today, the acts of civil disobedience, what legal recourse remains? The project is more than 60% done. It's supposed to be done by the end of the year. How do you stop it from becoming operational at this point?
Obviously, there are folks who are here that are saying that that's not going to happen. And I would say that Enbridge had promised that its pipeline project would be running years ago to its shareholders, and it's still not running. And it's because of the people coming together in the regulatory review process, indirect actions, on the ground, in courts, in litigation, that's prevented them every single step of the way. We don't want this project. And there is multiple lawsuits. There are multiple lawsuits that are proceeding, which include Minnesota's own Department of Commerce suing Minnesota's Public Utility Commission, the state actually suing itself because this pipeline was not actually justified in terms of need and oil forecast.
Tara Houska is joining us from the construction site of the Line 3 pipeline in northern Minnesota. Ms. Houska, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Miigwech.